Hello, everyone. It's Amanda Manethrin here, and I am back with another video. We are going over episode 6 in this video, and in the next video, I'm going to break this up into two parts because my brain needs a rest. Mostly because I stayed up last night with Steve going over this and the White Cloaks until I think it was 2 or 3 in the morning. It was ridiculous. And I have a day job. So, anyway, let's get into this wonderful episode that is just so good. I'm so excited um, and stuff because this episode is just absolute member berries. And it's one thing to do Easter eggs in your show because like Easter eggs can be a good thing, to just kind of give nods to the fans and add to the telling of a story. But when you start delving into just dropping member berries out there, they're just there for you to sit there and say, "Hey, we're being show accurate." And I'm going to debate that term. It's not, these guys aren't being show or book accurate. They're being show familiar. They're going to put these things in here, and while yes, they may have an air of accuracy to the books, they're inaccurate because of all of the lore and buildup that has preceded it, so that it is still an unfamiliar mess. There's no strong foundation for this. So all of this stuff, while yes, it may be in the books, there's still the air of it not being in the books as far as I'm concerned. So, the cold open for the show, if you want to call it a cold open, Eggie is being dragged into her dungeon cell um, by, I can't even remember this Sul'Dam's name because I don't care. Mira, Minor, whatever, who cares? Um, and really, she's not dragging Egwene. Um, she's pulling on the chain, uh, and Eggie is just pushing herself with her feet into the cell. So yes, good job there. Really, really love this. Steve mentioned this. She's being dragged by a chain that is not connected to her neck. It's connected to her back, right at the base of the neck. So it's not really in a position that's going to do a great job of cutting off airflow, but they're going to act like it is so as to play up the torture. And this part is not show accurate. Yes, the Sul'Dam were abusive, but they would just inflict the pain through the Sul'Dam to get her to walk, rather than dragging her all over the place. So, yeah, great job not doing that show. You could have showcased that power in a lot more sinister way, but you chose to do it in just an abusive way that didn't need to be done so. She wants to be friends with Eggie. Eggie tries to punch her, which is a theme for the show as well. I'm going to continue to punch her. Definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And as the show progresses, all of the abuse that ends up appearing on Eggie's face is directly a result of her own stupidity. So not only is she emotionally abusive to Rand in the first season, she is now abusive to herself. So great job, Eggie. Um, so now, and the acting also great job there. Said nobody. Um, this scene just goes on forever and ever, and also ever, and ever, and ever. I mean, goodness gracious, 3.5 minutes of a scene that, again, you could sit there and easily handle this very quickly, uh, in a minute, a minute and a half. But no, it's all about watching Eggy writhe on the ground. So, if you're into that, here you go. So after the Wheel of Time logo makes its episodic appearance, we then cut to Rand and Lanfear on Mars, and I don't know the purpose to this stupid scene in terms of how it's set up. They're out in the middle of a deserted area, and for some reason there is this sexual fetish that these showrunners are going with Rand tied up to this wheel, binded up by uh, Lanfear, who is wearing what it looks to be like a series of belts and bands that are also attached to some sort of leather. Yes, BDSM type bullcrap, and then this headdress. What is this? This does not show even really Lanfear's personality outside of the fact it's black and dark and mysterious or whatever. It just doesn't make sense. None of these people wear their clothing in a way that is practical. This is just some project that they set the clothing designers on to sit there and say, "Oh, make the weirdest shit you can put out there." And all that it does, at least for me, like from a fashion design point of view, I guess you could sit there and say, "Oh, that's creative use of this and this and this." But from a storytelling point of view, you're wondering, what are you wearing? What purpose does this serve? And if you're honest with yourself, it doesn't serve any. Um, so yeah, so there's Rand, and he gives off the obligatory "I can't believe I trusted you" line. Okay. Well, what purpose does that line serve? I can't believe I trust that. Is that your icebreaker for the conversation? She says, "Well, no, actually, I was protecting you. I was protecting you from Ishi because he was trying to get into your dreams, and that's why I was there." We know she's lying. Um, but at the same time, she's also talking a lot of sense to him. Like, where are your friends, Rand? Where are the people that you love that you'd be leaning on? You know, and that's Rand's fault because he's going off script as a character from the books, and telling people to telling his friends basically, "I'm dead," goes away, and then does the most nonsensical thing and goes into one of the most populated places in the country and is now a danger to a lot more people than there would be in Faldara. So good job, Brand. You're a smart guy or something. Um, but he eventually says that there's only one way that he's going to help. Or no, not one. He doesn't say that there's one way. She says there's one way that she will help him and reveal Ishi and all that kind of stuff. It's one condition, and then he wakes up and Rand gets out of bed and Moron's there, and they have a little back and forth, and he goes to leave, says he has to leave right away because the condition is that he has to stay away from her in order to be able to help everybody else. Okay. So the bonus points I will give Rand here is that he's actually being forthcoming with information. Moron could actually learn a lesson from Rand, who is at least 60 years her junior, right? 50, 60 years her junior, by actually being forthcoming with information. Because Moron, not once in this series, really, since leaving Emmons Field, has been somebody who is willing to give information to anybody. It's all got to be a big secret, you know, piss off. But so he walks away, leaves the room, and then Moron just has her little emotional moment. She's got tears in her eyes that are welling up, and she's stressed, and we don't feel bad at all for her. So great. So the next scene comes around. By the way, this Rand on Mars scene, uh, along with Moron, takes an additional 4 minutes. So now we've gone through 7 minutes of this episode with two scenes that could be drastically shorter. But they feel that it's 7 minutes and you feel like you've been watching for 15. And then you cut into this scene that's about a minute and a half scene, 2 minutes almost, of Min and Matt, and they're in Carrion, and there's just a lot of stuff going on. It's kind of looking like a grimy medieval Mardi Gras type of thing going on, and she says, "No, I think we made a mistake coming here." And Matt's all about it, and he's like, "No, come on, let's go, come on, Min." And the scene ends. Wow. Again, that scene above all was a complete waste. 100% complete waste. What purpose did that serve? I mean, maybe just to sit there and say, okay, they're in Carrion. Okay, well, you could do that differently. You could actually show them that in the actual next purposeful scene that they're in, possibly. Scene cuts then to Elaine and Nincompoop, and once again they are in a constant back and forth, complaining, and it just it's I get tired of hearing it when my kids get in these back and forths. So why do I want to sit there and listen to this banal bitching back and forth on a television show? I don't. You know, and yeah, they they had a disagreement in the books. I get it. So you got this little personality contention there, but it was much different. Here it's Nynaeve being jealous of everything that Elaine stands for, whether it be her station in life or her friendship with Eggy, yada, yada, yada. It's tired because Nincompoop is absolutely angry at absolutely everything. She is so hate filled in this show, and I am so tired of her character. It's horrible. It is an absolute travesty that they did this to Nynaeve, when in the books she could be this caring individual and that she had actually purpose in her frustration with how things were panning out, all of her situations. But ultimately, that was to effectively get her to wherever the boys were, to protect her family, so to speak. This is crazy. And yeah, she's going after Eggy to save her, but here they're complaining about waking up in this yellow Aja's house with Terry Tate, and Elaine calls her out. It's like, wait, it's your fault we're here. You wouldn't shut the hell up, you know. And then Terry Tate actually comes up, makes an appearance, and is like, "Hey, I could hear you out in the market. Why don't you try shutting up? Because, hey, that's actually a good suggestion. Shut the fuck up, bitches." But nope, they're going to sit there and moan and complain all the time at each other. Um, and old stuff. I'm just tired of it. And so then the yellow Aja chick comes in and kind of gives them a little bit of a scolding or whatever. But then they reveal to her about Leandrin's treachery. Mm. And and then the yellow Aja chick says, "Well, oh no, that must mean." And if you're starting to feel or get a sense that there's a similarity between this scene and a scene from the last episode when our eidetic memory chick, Cho Chang from Harry Potter, the crossover episode, comes in and says, "Well, if it's compulsion, then that means there must be Black Aja." Dun dun dun. It's the same thing here. She says, "Well, that means she's broken the three one of the three oaths." Lane's like, "Oh, try all of them." She's like, "Well, then that must mean she's in the Black Aja." Again, the Aes Sedai knew of the existence of it. They never publicly would admit it because they are all about this political face-saving type of element. They always wanted to present themselves as a united tower to the public, not as something that is splintered and factioned off and that has potentially allowed the existence of an additional Aja that is anterior to their motives. So yeah, let's pump up this stupid. Oh no, it's like this emotional reveal. I can't believe it. We're in danger. You have to go. And they're like, "No, we're not leaving without Egwene." "No, you have to." "No, we're not leaving without Egwene. You just don't understand." Um, yeah, okay. You know, it's just not a very good scene. It, yeah. Anyway, so we now cut back to the old man, uh, who is Leandrin's son, and he's sitting there in bed with a nicely uh, groomed goatee there. Anyway, so she's there. She's taking care of her son again, smiling at him. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just so. Oh, she cares so much. And then Lanfear shows up and actually is again completely honest. Like, you're not keeping him alive. He's still dying, and all you're doing is extending his pain. You're torturing your own son practically, you know, because you're not curing him. And she's like, "I know." Oh, the tears. Yeah. But she's all nervous because Lanfear's there. And Lanfear is just walking around, basically just taking a lay of the land in the room, and steps next to her son. And basically, what she does is what happens in the hospital when someone's on life support, and she just pulls the plug. And there's Leandrin looking all sad and everything because all of her selfish desires are now ruined. Now, Lanfear is doing this for the purposes of making sure she has nothing left holding her to the light, to hope, so that she can fully be on the dark side. The show is probably setting this up as a redemption arc, so Lanfear's or Leandrin's going to be angry at all of the dark friends and the Forsaken, so she'll want to come back to the good. And when you misuse redemption tropes, it gets old. Nobody in the show really deserves a redemption arc, to be honest. I mean, they've all done some seriously evil things. Even Lanfear, who is the most honest and actually shows mercy in this scene, last episode she was sewing a woman's mouth shut and blowing up another guy's head because she needed a horse that she thought was really slow. So, there's no consistency. Everything is a cut and paste. Hey, this would be cool to do in this scene, and it's not really cool, but who cares? Um, but yeah, so she kills her son, and Leandrin has a sad, and that's that. Now we cut to this another pointless scene. We've had almost 13 minutes of pointless in this episode. But Loyal and or sorry, not Ingtar, Princess Jasmine. Don't you dare close your eyes. Are serving Suroth and all of her folks with the weirdly shaven heads. They're just kind of chilling out there. And Suroth wants the gardener, Loyal, to sing. And he says, no. And she says, sing. And he says, okay. Because nobody in the show stands for principles. It's absolutely ridiculous. Min doesn't stand up for her principles against Ishi. There are things worse than your own personal death to suffer from. And so when you can sit there and say, you know what, these are my principles, and you can threaten me all you want, but I'm not going to sing because we don't sing for you. You know, no, sing. Like, oh, well, you changed my mind. Really effective stuff. It's ridiculous. Just like this singing that he does, it's low, guttural, monotonous, and when in the books, in the Eye of the World, when he sings where the Green Man was, when the Green Man was killed, and if you're not a book reader, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about because they didn't present this in the show. But at the Eye of the World, when he sings, you get this sense of this wonderfully melodious thing that enhances nature and causes it to grow all around. And there's a real sense of like how in Tolkien, the purpose of his singing is much like what the elves did to bring Treebeard and his kind to life, the Ents, and to keep and grow the earth, work on creation. And it's kind of a nod to that. And so, yeah, this little, the Chia Pet in Suroth's room there grows, and yay, yippee skippy. It responds to guttural sounds that any monk would probably be disappointed in. But he has to stop, whatever. And then it cuts into the hallway as they're dismissed, and they're just talking, because they're doing recon, both Jasmine and Loyal, as they're doing all their servant stuff. So the recon's going on. They're searching for the Horn of Valir, yet to be explained, and that's the most important thing on Ingtar's mind. Which, yes, it should be. Period. That's what you came to get was the horn. So at least that part was consistent. So great job. And Loyal starts talking about Eggy, and she's in the dungeons. Okay, but we've got the Horn of Valir. And this is where the agendas of the show don't make sense. Because the most important thing to prepare for the last battle is not going to be Eggy. It's going to be, at least in the view of these two individuals, the most important thing is the horn. You have to get the horn. But again, the show doesn't present that at all. It hasn't explained the horn yet, just that with this we could rule the world. Okay, how? Come on, let me know. But no, it's Eggy. Well, she lives in the kennels. It's impenetrable. Oh, but if there's one person that could do it, it's Eggy. Come on. Seriously? And I love how they're presenting this castle as though it is something that the Shan Chan built. And I could be wrong about this, but it just really seems like this is how they fortified this after taking over Falme. They fortified this place up so well that the kennels are now an impenetrable place. And it just no, no, they stop, 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 stop. And Eggy's unbreakable because Nynaeve said it last season, and she's amazing, and so she'll survive. But we still have to rescue her or something. Oh yes, and the horn too. Whatever. Oh, it's so tiring. So by the time we get out of that scene, we are about 15 minutes into the episode, and then we cut back to Eggy in her cell. She is dreaming about beating the crap out of her soldam. And boy, it's a great dream by using this pitcher of water to do that. But then the soldam actually comes in after she wakes up from her dream, which was a fake out scene that they presented to us in the preview. We thought presenting, oh, she's going to beat the crap out of her. And no, no, it's just a dream. Just like the tree. We'll find out here in a bit. It's tiring. But anyway, the Damani comes in, puts on the bracelet, and you're not going to be able to do anything to harm me because you know that's how the control works. I think in this scene there was also some mention of this is freedom, yada yada yada. You know, you can be free if you just submit. Pour me some water. You know, Ugh. Again, more poor acting, and there's Eggy writhing on the ground again, and then she looks up out of her cell and just admires the tree. So there's setup there. Now we cut scenes. Ishi is appearing in Min's dream, and he says, "You need to get Matt to leave with Rand." You know, and she's like, "No, I don't want to do it." And he says, "Oh, you'll do it, or I won't take away your abilities." Okay, scene ends. Great. What a wonderful scene. Okay. Now we get to a scene here with Alana, her warders, and Lan, and this scene is completely set up to destroy the character of Lan even more so than they already have, because there hasn't been a scene that Lan's been in so far that hasn't done that very thing. It's atrocious. And he's like, it's a forsaken temple. What the hell are you talking about?
My head's about to explode. My whole life sucks. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going.
A temple? We have a worship type chess set that Steppen had in season one. And now we have this ancient temple for the Forsaken. We've turned them into religious figures. This is crazy. And why would you camp here if this was the case? Why does this place still exist? If it ever existed in the first place. Wouldn't the Aes Sedai want to destroy something like this so that they can erase the memory of these evil people who, according to the lore, have been sealed away in the Dark One's prison at Sheol Gul, not all over the place, not at the Eye of the World, at Sheol Gul. Wouldn't you do that? You know, just asking. But the whole conversation between Lan and the other three is a complete setup to drive up this whole suspicion narrative that they started last episode, right? I think it was last episode or the one before,
Who the hell cares?
where they found the Blood Calls Blood letter in Lan's pack, like it's evidence that he's a dark friend. You know, why wouldn't you just say, hey, why is this letter here in your pack? And then Lan could say, why are you going through my stuff? You know, all these, it's all just set up for this needless drama. This is drama too, by the way, that Alana couldn't act her way out of a wet paper bag for. Her face just, this entire season, it's not just Alana, it's almost nearly everybody could not act a lick.
Acting. Good night.
Great. Because that's what we want, more sexual reference. And Lan packs up his bag and he goes to leave because his whole purpose of asking about the Maryland seat was to find out where she was. Now that he knows where she is, he wants to take off. And for them, that was evidence that they needed to threaten him with, why do you need to, are you a dark friend? Oh, no. So when Lan goes to leave, all of a sudden in front of him appears Maxim, and he's like, where are you going? And Lan's like, get out of my way. And kind of weirdly reaches for a weapon at his side for some reason. Why would you do that? And then here comes the other one, Yvonne or whatever, and he starts reciting the Blood Calls Blood poem. Why? Again, dramatic effect, poor writing, all of that stuff. And then Maxim starts to, he starts to unsheath his sword. So there's this whole threat of violence going to happen between these warders. Great. These are warders that were, again, sitting around a campfire last season enjoying each other, each other's company. Why would you not talk? Why would you not have an open discussion rather than sitting there having suspicions grow to a point where you feel that violence is necessary? These are people that you trust. But nope, needless drama. We got to have the drama in there because that creates emotion, and that's what keeps everybody coming back to the show, which is also doubtful. But in any case, Alana binds him from behind and then threatens to kill him. Now, never mind that's a violation of the oaths. Right? Because Lan has done nothing to deserve being threatened to killed at this point because he is bound by Alana. Yeah, they may have come to blows with swords and everything, but at this point he can't pull his sword out. So there's no reason for Alana to sit there. She could just tie off the weave and hold him bound. That's all you need to do. But nope, we're gonna threaten to kill Lan because and Lan's like, let me go. And she's like, tell us why you want to see the Amirlan. No, then I will kill you. We found the dragon reborn.
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
What? Stoic Lan, supposedly Stoic Lan, just spills the juice all over the floor before them. And it's like, holy shit. They wanted to keep all of this secret so that there wasn't this mass hysteria going on in the White Tower. And the cause of the mass hysteria that goes on in the White Tower regarding Rand and him being revealed as the Dragon Reborn happens as a direct result of him going to Falme in the book and having a sky fight with Turok. And then pissing off all the way down to the Stone of Tyr and pulling Kalimdor. That's what causes all the hubbub. But Lan is going to sit here and say, "Oh, he's the Dragon Reborn." And now, later on in the scene, and we'll get this in my next video. There's a boatload of Aes Sedai with the Amirlan seat and Carrion going to grab Rand or going to talk to him. So there, great job. Way to keep that a good secret, Lan. The show is so stupid. And that's man. So we get through this scene, and at this point, I mean, seriously, that scene ends. We are only 24 minutes into the episode. And it cuts to Rand, and he's having a dream. He's hallucinated now that this is kind of their stupid memberberry nod to um, the prologue of the Eye of the World, where he's going insane and he's seeing everybody dead around him, all of his friends. Screw you, show. And then Ishii appears like, this is what's going to happen. If the madness is going to take you. And he's like, no. And then Lanfear appears and wishes him away. And so Ishii disappears. Isn't that remarkable? Lanfear displaying that he can trust her. See, I told you I'm protecting your dreams. So it's most assuredly a fake out. Either that was her own projection of Ishii into Rand's dream, or that was planned and Ishii would make an appearance and then she would shove him away. And, either way, it's transparent, and Rand should know that. Um, but anyway, uh, Lanfear wants to give Rand a reason to trust her. And so, who do you want to see? And of course, he's like, well, I want to see Egwene. Because, yeah, we're still keeping that going. That's so unbrilliant in one note. I mean, you could put layers into the response here from Rand, and yet you took the one route that wouldn't make it layered. Anyway, so she takes him in a dream to the prison cell that Aggie's in, even though you really didn't have to have it in a prison cell in a dream because Eggie could be anywhere dreaming and wouldn't be caught in this prison. But okay. And Rand wakes her up and like within the dream by calling her name, and she's like, Rand, Rand. And then Lanfear just kind of says, okay, we're done, and teleports them back to where they are. And Rand at that point says, I'll do anything. The Dragon Reborn is now a dark friend, folks. Just like Min is a dark friend, and everybody else. If they're not a dark friend, they're just freaking evil. And yeah, you could sit there and say that, oh, Rand's just saying that he's playing her. Sure. But again, this characterization of Rand, who is Egwene's lapdog, hasn't proven anything to get me to think otherwise. Oh, I'm just playing her. Yeah, you've been a dipshit the entire show. Like that's believable. Yeah, man. Yeah. So, in any case, so that's 3 minutes gone, and Eggie's waking up in her prison. She's like, Rand, Rand. Oh no, that was more than 3 minutes. Sorry, that was another five. But Eggie wakes up and she feels like she's going insane, and then she hears a voice in the next cell. Tries to talk to that voice. The voice is just saying, "Pour the water, pour the water." It's life advice by the Blue Sitter Sadai, as we discover by the end of the episode. It's her own little Dear Abby column. We cut back to a scene with the yellow Aja. They're refusing to leave for the White Tower again. Um, and and then she tells her warder to go get the things, and she reveals to them that she has one of the bracelets and the collar. So, okay, we need to figure out how to work this. Okay, so again, that's sort of that's a nod to the books. Okay, but they've got to work out how to open it. Okay, great. All right, scene cuts, and we have um, Moron writing a letter in some language that requires subtitles. Um, and it's really really weird how that it's done. It's the text is not a text I would use, but that's okay. At least it's not Comic Sans fun, I guess. Although that would be more appropriate for this show. Barthanas comes in, bringing her food because she has to be brought all of her food by men. And he talks about when he was younger how he used to bring her sandwiches, and you loved my sandwiches. Okay. And she's really pretty dismissive of him. And so he leaves because she won't eat a sandwich, and he's all downtrodden, and Mummy is waiting outside the door, and he's like, you're right, Mother, and walks away, and she gets all mad and goes in and has an argument with Moron about how Moron's a bitch, and Moron says, I'm not a bitch, and she says, well, Daddy loves you, but you're like Mom, and Mom was a bitch. And she's like, I'm the heir. I could take this house, but you live here solely by my good graces. I mean, it's this complete petulant rap that ties in no way to the previous conversation we saw these two have, where they were getting along, and her sister was reciting advice that she had given her when they were younger, and they're smiling at each other and oh yada yada, women affirming women type stuff in that last scene. And then we get to this scene here where Moron's sister is setting her up to prove to her son that Moron is a bitch so that then she could go in and call her out on all of that. And while, yes, calling her out on all of that would be great, but what you've done is you've manipulated the situation so that you could call her out on it. And the casualty of that is the affection your son has for Moron. You've manipulated that rather than him naturally finding out that his auntie is a bitch. Great, you've made yourself one now. We would have been on your side in this whole thing, but you can't be on anybody's side on this show because everybody sucks. Completely 100%. I want you out of my house. It's my house because I'm older. Ugh, shut up, woman. And she goes back to writing. Uh, Boring. And then it cuts to Swan in a little coach. And she's there in a horse-drawn carriage with one driver, 4 horses, and 2 horses behind her with armed guards, supposedly on her way back from Camelin. Really? That's your guard? That's how you defend yourself? You are supposedly the most powerful person in the world. You're like the President of the United States in Randland. And that's your defense group? Are you kidding me? What a joke. This is hilariously stupid. But, in any case, so there's noise outside and the carriage stops and she gets all suspicious and then builds up a defense wall around her head of icicles. Okay, that's interesting. So she turns to the door, aims her ice knives at the door of the carriage, which also, by the way, looks a whole lot bigger on the inside than it does on the outside. Yes, there's your Doctor Who reference.
'Tis very small outside. It's just in here it's big.
Oh, come off it!
And the door opens, and it's Lan and Alana and all them. And she's like, "What are you doing here?" "Well, we wanted to magically transport ourselves to wherever you were because I've revealed to everybody that Moron and I have found the Dragon Reborn." Oh boy. Oh man. This is just bad. Period. And the storytelling is not getting any better whatsoever. It's a chore to go through this. I mean, I've spent almost 50 minutes here going through this in this audio piece here, and we're just halfway through. God help us. Anyway, I'm going to stop here. Look out for my part 2 video here coming out hopefully shortly. But let me know what you think so far about the episode. What did I miss? There were details that I overlooked. Let me know in the comments below. If you disagree, sure, that's fine. Again, we're not an echo chamber. We are not monoliths in this world. And if you liked it, good for you. It doesn't make sense to me, but that's fine. Um, in any case, leave a comment down below. We'll see you in part 2 of my review of this episode. Thanks for watching. Chagar Navran, Taishar Manetharan.